Did she seem okay when you said goodnight to her?
Yes, she was fine. The next morning, my wife noticed Josephine wasn't there. That's when her nightmare began.
The family couldn't find her. They were at a loss.
It felt different. Need to get on this one quick.
A ranch worker discovered the remains of a deceased female.
We had a picture of her wearing the same exact clothes. This is Josephine.
I ain't even gonna say goodbye.
She had told her friend that she was going to meet up with the boy.
The boy had made some strange statements.
Her friend felt that something wasn't right, so she decided to take a picture of the vehicle.
He had made a post asking if anybody knew a good attorney.
How did you interpret that comment?
The timing was pretty suspect.
It's one of those things that makes you go, this is the guy. This is the guy.
Case in Madera, California. It was here in this small picturesque city that the murder of a teenage girl sent shockwaves through the community. The discovery of a shallow grave and the puzzling evidence of the crime scene led them to ask many disturbing questions. Who was the victim? How did she get there? And why was she killed? As police began their quest for answers, one thing seemed clear. No one in the region would be safe until her depraved killer was behind bars. October 22nd, 2019. It was just after 10 on a warm fall morning when the Madera County Sheriff's Office got an alarming call from the foreman of a nearby almond orchard. And the details of his report made it clear it was going to be a very long and difficult day for investigators.
A ranch worker was driving along this road. As they got closer to this area right here, they discovered what appeared to be the remains of a deceased female and alerted the sheriff's office.
Within minutes, Deputy Robert Blem and every other available officer were being led to the dusty stretch of farmland. What did you see once you arrived at the scene?
I saw a deceased female that was heavily decomposed.
Could you determine what had caused her death?
No, you could not tell at that time what may have caused her death.
But to the eye of a seasoned investigator, it was obvious she had been the victim of foul play.
Her positioning, partially buried, essentially from her waist down to her feet, caused me to think a couple of things. Number one, that the death was some type of homicide because somebody took the effort to hide the body. The other thing was something startled them. They did not complete the job of burying her.
And as investigators studied the location, it seemed likely that the sound of a passing car or its headlights might have been responsible. Was it a remote part of a field?
Where we found her, it was basically the access road to the southern part of the orchard. They could have put her further in the trees, could have gone all the way down to the river, but she was right in the middle of the road, like they wanted her to be found.
Did the killer leave any evidence behind?
The human body is obviously our biggest piece of evidence in any case like this. So I was going through my mental checklist of what we needed to do next.
That checklist included scouring the orchard for evidence. But there was no blood, drag marks, nor signs of a struggle discovered. Did that make you believe then that the victim had been killed elsewhere?
That definitely comes to mind.
In fact, the evidence investigators saw made it seem likely that the killer had only been in the orchard a short time.
Detectives discovered a distinct set of tire tracks which turned partially into the orchard and made it appear as though a vehicle had conducted a three-point turn in this location and left the area.
Detectives knew that meant any evidence of how the crime unfolded was somewhere else as well. Investigators got their first break when the medical examiner provided them with a clear view of the victim. Was there anything found on the victim that helped you identify her?
Yes. She had a black t-shirt with white writing that said Queen, and there was a silver braided necklace that was still on the decedent at the scene.
Were you ultimately able to connect those items with the victim to make an identification?
Yes. One of the detectives that was at the scene immediately alerted me that that particular t-shirt and necklace matched the description of a 16-year-old girl that had been reported missing to the sheriff's office.
For Detective Lewis Paget, the unique t-shirt and necklace had been in his mind every moment since he began investigating the mysterious disappearance of Josephine Jimenez 6 days before. Did a sense of dread come over you?
Yes, because it was matched to the clothing she was wearing the night she went missing.
But Detective Paget still couldn't be sure.
She was at a rate of decomposition where you couldn't say, this is her.
The number one priority is making a positive identification on the person that we found. That ultimately had to be done through dental records.
Detective Paget made the painful call to Josephine's parents to get her dental records, while the rest of the team focused on trying to piece together how the crime unfolded. Did it appear to you that sexual assault was the likely motive for the murder?
We had no indication that involved any sort of sexual anything.
How about robbery?
No, she was found with a few dollars in her pocket, but she had no cell phone.
As the young woman's remains were transported to the medical examiner's office for autopsy, deputies fanned out, searching the area for witnesses. None of the orchard's employees remembered seeing anything suspicious. But the owners of the property did provide a clue that helped police with the crime's timeline.
They had been riding their horses with several of their dogs through the orchard approximately 2 weeks prior and did not see the body.
And any lingering doubts that Josephine Jimenez had been the victim were eliminated during the autopsy.
Through dental records, we were able to confirm the identity of the decedent as Josephine Jimenez.
What were the results of the autopsy?
The only trauma that was noted were some bruising to the spaces between the ribs, which could indicate that there was a great weight placed on her chest. The pathologist was not able to determine a cause of death.
But the injuries were consistent with suffocation and left no doubt that Josephine Jimenez had been murdered. The missing persons case was now a homicide investigation. And the first step for investigators would undoubtedly be the hardest. One of the worst jobs in law enforcement is to inform a family member that they've lost a loved one. How difficult was that for you?
I've done it for 27 years. It's never easy.
For more than a week, Maria and Raymond Jimenez had been praying for the safe return of their 16-year-old daughter. But now investigators were giving them the worst news possible. Their precious Josephine was never coming home. How did you work through your grief?
I still haven't. I made myself numb to everything. And I'm sorry.
I was really angry. I think I still have that same anger in me now. I don't think I'll ever be able to let it go.
And that rage only deepened as police explained where and how his daughter had been found. Did they give you any details after they broke the news to you?
Just that he buried her halfway with her face down in the dirt. I wanted to see her, and they told me that they wouldn't let me because she was so decomposed. I feel like I really didn't even get to say goodbye.
Everything Josephine's parents were experiencing seemed unthinkable just a few days earlier. Until then, the 16-year-old had brought them nothing but joy. What made her so special?
She was an outgoing person. She would do anything for anybody if she could. She was a social butterfly. She was going to be your friend no matter what.
And Josephine had big dreams. She wanted to see the world and had a plan for how she was going to do that.
She wanted to join the service. She was preparing, she was exercising, taking classes.
She's been wanting to join the Army since she was 7th grade.
As the Jimenez family gathered for her memorial service, police began re-examining every detail in Josephine's missing persons case file. It stated that her father had been the last one in her family to speak with the teenager before she disappeared.
It was about 8 o'clock at night, and I was heading to bed. She was in the bathroom.
Did you ever see her go back to her bedroom?
No.
And did she give anyone in the family any indication she might go out that night?
No. The next morning, I got up, went to work. I was there about 15 minutes, and my wife noticed Josephine wasn't there. And that's when her nightmare began.
The unslept in bed terrified Maria. She immediately reached out to Josephine's closest friends, but none of them claimed to have any idea where she might have gone. The 16-year-old had vanished.
I started calling my family members to come to help look for her.
It was like, where's my kid at? In my heart, I knew something was wrong. So I called the sheriff department.
When detectives arrived, they analyzed Josephine's room for any signs of foul play. As investigators carefully looked at Josephine's home, could they find any signs of a struggle?
No, there was nothing that would indicate Josephine left for any other reason than of her own free will.
We interviewed numerous classmates of hers. There was nothing to indicate that there was anything going on at the home that would be out of the ordinary.
But as police pressed the teenager's friends, they slowly began to reveal clues they hadn't shared with Josephine's mother. A few of them knew that she was going to sneak out of her house that night after her family went to bed. What did Josephine say her plan was for the night?
She indicated that she was going to go out with a boy and that they were going to go to a local wing stop to get some food.
Was there ever any indication she made it there?
No, I actually went to the wing stop and went through their surveillance for that night. I looked for Josephine coming into the restaurant. She never made it in.
Police turned to Josephine's phone records, hoping to follow her electronic footprint. Were you able to trace Josephine's movements through her cell phone activity?
Unfortunately not, because she had a cell phone that only worked on Wi-Fi.
And there was more bad news. Josephine had been cryptic about who she was meeting that night. The only details she let slip were that he was older and a family friend. Police asked Josephine's parents if they knew anyone who fit that description. Could they think of who she might have met up with that night?
Ultimately, they provided us 2 different names, one of which was a gentleman named Ethan.
What happened once he was questioned?
According to him, they hadn't spoken for quite some time.
Where did he say he was that night?
He was a shift manager at a local Taco Bell, and we were able to confirm through his work records and with his manager that he was in fact working that evening. We ruled him out as a potential suspect.
What was the other name that was mentioned?
The other person that was mentioned was a gentleman named Tyler.
Tyler told police he had met Josephine through their church youth group, and they had become friends. But he denied being the young man who she had gone out with the night she disappeared.
He admitted to hanging out with her earlier in the day of October 13th. They had gone to a local mini mart.
They were hanging out all day, and that's confirmed because we pulled surveillance.
Tyler said around dinner time, Josephine had gone home. When was the last time he had spoken with her?
He said that sometime between 9 and 11 o'clock in the evening.
She called and told him that she was going to go meet somebody and go get something to eat.
Tyler said she never mentioned the man's name, and she was still getting ready when they hung up.
Tyler was the last person that we know to talk to her.
Detectives pressed Tyler about his relationship with Josephine, and he insisted they were just friends. But police believe that his behavior was more like that of a jealous boyfriend.
He tried to call her like twice at like midnight.
Was he concerned when she didn't pick up when he called her at midnight?
Yeah, but he said he was tired, and then he went to bed.
Police were still troubled by the inconsistencies in Tyler's story. And as they dug deeper, new evidence was uncovered that cast doubt on everything that the young man had told them. Police investigating the disappearance and murder of Josephine Jimenez continued to get more important information from friends of the teenager, some of whom had initially been hesitant to come forward. What was the next lead police got?
We ended up speaking with a friend who was actually having a video chat with Josephine the night she left the residence.
She had told her female friend that she was going to meet up with a boy, and he had pulled up to pick up Josephine.
And there was more. The friend said she was desperately trying to convince Josephine not to go, right up to the moment she left the house. Had Josephine actually told her something that made it clear she was worried about who she was meeting up with?
Josephine expressed a little bit of worry, but at the end of the day decided it would be okay.
Josephine's friend wasn't as certain. And just before their video chat's Wi-Fi signal dropped, she decided to grab some screenshots.
She felt that something wasn't right, so she decided to take a picture. Thankfully, she did.
It was very good intuition on the friend's part.
It was an incredible new lead for investigators. Why hadn't she come forward with that information before?
I think a lot of people just assumed Josephine was going to turn back up, and this wasn't the serious issue that it had become.
Police carefully reviewed the grainy images the teenager provided.
Friend took 2 screenshots. One appeared to be what Josephine was wearing the night she left her house.
It was the same black t-shirt and necklace Josephine had been wearing when her body was found. But it was the second picture that changed the course of the investigation.
She was able to screenshot a vehicle that had pulled up to the area.
Could you glean any information from that blurry shot?
About the only thing we could tell was that it was a gray or silver vehicle. We could not tell the make, model, year from the photograph.
It was a silver four-door. It had darker wheels. It had some body damage.
Police took the images to the lab, hoping they could get a better look.
We had it digitally enhanced, but that didn't improve the image enough to identify what type of car.
But what was clear to police was that whoever was behind the wheel had been involved in Josephine's murder. Walk me through the process you used to decide who to focus in on as persons of interest.
Most people are murdered by somebody that they know.
And that was just one of the reasons Josephine's friend Tyler was still at the center of the investigation. He had nearly come to blows with the teenager's father after he asked some pointed questions. Did you think he was hiding something from you?
I did. At that moment, I did.
And there was more troubling behavior. What else raised suspicions about him?
An examination of his social media showed that he had made a post on a local Facebook page asking if anybody knew a good attorney for a criminal matter. That post was made the day before Josephine's body was discovered. I felt the timing was pretty suspect.
Police decided they had to speak with Tyler again. What happened once he was questioned?
He denied any involvement in Josephine's disappearance. When he was questioned about any possible romantic interest or involvement with Josephine, he said that Josephine wasn't interested in boys, she was interested in girls.
He was adamant that she liked girls and that they didn't have a relationship.
Did you think he made that up to take attention off himself?
I wasn't sure.
Police spoke with those closest to Josephine to see if what Tyler claimed was true.
During interviews with some of Josephine's friends, they told us that Josephine's romantic interests lie towards girls as opposed to men.
Despite the confirmation, investigators still had questions about Tyler's feelings for Josephine, and the evidence failed to quell those concerns.
I saw video of the day that they were hanging out, and they were chummy. They were close.
Oftentimes, one party can be romantically interested in another, and that can lead to crimes such as this. I wasn't ready to rule them out.
Still, police knew they would need evidence. Hoping to make a case against Tyler, they did a search of his vehicle. What kind of car did he drive?
They had a gold Chevy Blazer.
So, clearly, that had nothing to do with the image of the gray vehicle that you all had been studying.
Correct.
The search of the SUV didn't reveal any evidence of a crime, but investigators discovered a few details that Tyler had left out of his original story. He hadn't been driving that day, and he had not gone home after his afternoon with Josephine.
We had received information that he had been at his cousin's house that evening.
Did you believe he forgot to tell you, or he intentionally left that out of his story?
I don't know what's going on in his head, but he said he forgot to tell us.
And when police approached Tyler's cousin to find out more about what happened that night, what they discovered pushed a stalled investigation into high gear. Police investigating the murder of Josephine Jimenez had zeroed in on her friend Tyler. They wondered if there was a reason why the young man had not told police he had been out with his cousin the night she disappeared. And those suspicions deepened when they got a good look at the car his cousin owned.
We went and drove by there, and there was a gray, smaller sedan in the driveway.
Police were stunned. The car looked like the one in the blurry picture Josephine's friend had taken. What were the obvious similarities?
It had a similar color. It had similar molding on the bottom of the doors. The rims looked like they were the same shape as the vehicle in the photo.
Police believe those matching details were enough to get a search warrant. And they hoped that their specialized license plate reading cameras would tell them more about where that car had been on the night of Josephine's murder.
They're positioned at key locations in most cities, and every time a vehicle drives by, the database logs that license plate.
Each entry contains the exact time the car passed the checkpoint and the direction it was heading.
We were able to discover that at about 9:30 in the evening on October 13th, that vehicle was hitting a license plate reader driving towards Josephine's.
Police were intrigued. That was just minutes before Josephine was picked up. And more red flags were raised over where the license plate readers hit on that car next.
The vehicle was then captured after midnight on another license plate reader coming back into the city.
The car was returning to the city on a road that led to the area where Josephine's body had been found. Investigators believe the nearly 3 hours between those sightings were enough time to have committed the crime. What was the picture that was emerging?
We were looking at the very strong possibility that Tyler and his cousin had gone to meet Josephine Jimenez that night, picked her up, and were involved in her disappearance and death.
Now all police needed was the physical evidence to prove their theory. But before investigators could even get the go-ahead for their next steps, they received a mind-boggling new lead.
My desk phone rang, and on the other end was a special agent from NCIS, Camp Pendleton.
And the call from the Marine base dramatically changed the course of the investigation.
The agent asked me if we were investigating the death of Josephine Jimenez, and I relayed that we were. And they told me that they were conducting an investigation of a Marine and that they believed he might have something to do with her disappearance.
What made them think that?
NCIS was conducting their own investigation in regard to his involvement in social media and text message sextortion scheme.
According to NCIS, the Marine had been tormenting young women and teenage girls for months. His technique involved acquiring private photos and videos of his victims through theft or deception. And once he had them, a pressure campaign began. Did he threaten those young women and say, "I will post them if you don't meet with me"?
Yes, he would say, hey, now that I have this, if I don't get what I want, then I'll post them everywhere. I'll show them to your family.
This wasn't about money. It was about power, control, and sexual gratification.
And the Marine had already confessed at least one of his victims was underage.
He admitted during that investigation that he had been doing that with Josephine Jimenez.
Both NCIS and Madera police were convinced that the mention of Josephine's name meant that the sextortion scheme and the teenager's murder had to be connected. The Jimenez homicide investigation suddenly had a new prime suspect. Police investigating the Josephine Jimenez murder had just zeroed in on a new suspect, U.S. Marine Cody Slayton. And more evidence was uncovered with a quick check of his DMV records. What kind of car does Slayton drive?
He drove a late model silver Ford Fusion sedan. And once I looked at an online stock image of the vehicle, I realized it closely matched the screenshot taken by Josephine's friend.
And the case against Slayton continued to come together. The Marine was not on his base on the night of the murder.
He had been on leave from the Marine Corps and in the Madera area the night Josephine disappeared.
Did that send a chill down your spine?
Yes. It was certainly a very exhilarating thing to get that lead at that moment.
Meanwhile, Marine Corps investigators were continuing to look into the other crimes Slayton was involved in.
NCIS was looking into Cody soliciting images of underage females.
Slayton had admitted that Josephine Jimenez was one of the young girls he had preyed upon. And investigators discovered they shared a Madera connection.
I was like, she knows him. She trusted him. My heart just dropped.
It was stunning news. Not only had Josephine known Cody, their families were well acquainted too.
I had met his stepmom and his stepdad. Their daughter was one of her best friends.
In fact, Slayton had attended Josephine's memorial service.
He was the first one to put a candle down on the court steps for justice for Josephine.
Police now believe that Slayton had somehow acquired photographs or information that would embarrass the 16-year-old, and he had used them to force her into a face-to-face meeting. So it is your belief he was able to talk her into leaving her home that night, because in some way he was going to shame her?
Yes, 100%.
Before law enforcement confronted Slayton with her theory, they needed to collect facts that proved he was the mystery man that Josephine had met up with the last night she was seen alive. And that started with tracing the movements of his silver Ford on the night Josephine disappeared.
The first thing I did was input Cody's license plate number into the license plate reader system, and it hit off a license plate reader with him driving towards her residence.
Then just before 10 p.m., the plate readers placed Slayton's car in another critical location.
It hit where the Wingstop was located.
Police were now confident that Slayton was behind the wheel of the silver car that picked up Josephine. And they were ready to talk with their prime suspect face to face. What was your plan going into your interview with Slayton?
Detective Gutierrez was my ace in the hole. He was a Marine. So as soon as we walked in the room, it was instant rapport. I kind of took a back seat, introduced him, and let him talk about things.
The questions began with the night Josephine disappeared.
So you saw her what day?
I believe it was Sunday. She had texted me, asking if I want to go get something to eat. We were gonna go to Wingstop. Like we got there, she changed her mind.
Slayton said Josephine wanted to go somewhere more private, and police were stunned when he said where he had taken her.
We went to the vineyards. Nobody really uses that road anyway.
The road Slayton described was a few miles from where Josephine's body was found.
I told people in the office, this is the guy. This is the guy.
You guys are gonna hook up?
Yeah. We hooked up in the back of my car, and then I took her home.
But investigators knew Slayton hadn't taken the teenager home. The license plate reader never hit on his car again that night. Detective Gutierrez decided it was time to confront Slayton, Marine to Marine.
We have a lot of consistent stuff that indicates exactly what happened. The way we fix it is we're honest about it. You know, honor, courage, commitment. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know that something went bad. Something that was not supposed to go wrong went wrong. You need to dig deep in there, dude.
Slayton said he needed time to think. He asked to pause the interview. Police agreed. And when he returned, Slayton began to add more troubling details to his account.
I was sleeping with her, but like she wanted to be like rough, and it went like a little too far.
Investigators were sickened as Slayton claimed that Josephine asked him to choke her.
Then eventually I kind of like felt a pop. I didn't know if she was like breathing or she wasn't, but she had stopped, and then she kind of like gurgled.
Slayton told investigators that after he was certain that Josephine was dead, he drove into the orchard to hide his crime.
I was trying to think, but my mind was so clouded. I didn't know what to do at that point. I took her out of the car and kept on trying to bury her.
The young Marine said that he feared that someone was going to see him, so he left before he finished.
It just took like a lot longer than what I thought.
After listening to Slayton's story, investigators were certain that most of the details were made up, created by a man trying to minimize his guilt.
His story was this was an accident. This wasn't an accident. His story is just not possible. It's a deliberate act. He made a decision to end her life.
Police were confident what actually happened is that Josephine had refused to give in to Slayton's demands, and he had become enraged.
I believe that Josephine resisted Cody's advances that evening. I believe that she probably threatened to expose his activity, which would have cost him dearly, and he strangled her.
Slayton's brutality put an end to Josephine's promising future and shattered the lives of her friends and family. Police charged the Marine with her murder, and in May of 2023, Slayton pled guilty to all charges. He was sentenced to life in prison. What did you say to him when you faced him during your victim impact statement?
He was a worthless piece of, and I hope that he would get the same fate that he gave her. I hope he never does come out again.
Those feelings of anger and pain are a daily part of life for Josephine's loved ones, as is the void Slayton left in their hearts. What were you robbed of when you lost Josephine?
He took from me her future. I'm always gonna miss her. She's with me every day. There's not a moment that doesn't go by without me thinking of her.
And her parents pray that their heartbreak will be a lesson for others.
Don't trust, even if you know the person for a long time, don't trust them. Think twice who you hang out with. I don't wish any mother or father to lose a child.
Josephine's loved ones hope her story is a cautionary tale for other young women about the importance of protecting personal information and the potential dangers of sharing private photos. I'm Paula Zahn. Please join us again next time when we're back on the case. What did police find when they arrived at the scene?
A body floating in the canal with a stab wound to her back.
Melanie had been riding her bicycle along the canal.
She was ambushed. We wanted to kill her.
Why was she targeted? Was the big question.
Melanie was wearing a swimsuit that was too small.
The killer brought the bodysuit, redressed her. He spent a lot of time with the body.
I've been doing this job for 26 years. It's nothing that I ever saw before.
Remains of another victim were found at the other side of this freeway.
She had been decapitated. Her head was missing.
The killer meant to send a message. Sickening.
It made the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Was there a fear that they were in a race against time because this killer might strike again?
Absolutely. And this is the killer who enjoyed it. This was his hunting ground. He would not stop.
Tonight, we're on the case in Phoenix, Arizona. The Valley of the Sun is known for its rugged terrain and residents who love the outdoors. But those simple pleasures were replaced by fear when one of the city's many scenic bike trails became the setting for two of its most gruesome murders. The crime scenes told police the same man had taken the lives of both young women, and his depravity inspired a crack team of investigators to try never-before-used techniques to get justice. September 21st, 1993. It was 11 on a warm Tuesday night when Phoenix police received a chilling call. 17-year-old Melanie Bernis had gone missing, and her family feared the worst. When was the last time anybody had seen her?
Her mother last saw her at approximately 6:37 p.m. that night.
That's when Melanie's mother had left to go out to dinner. She was surprised when she got home at 9 to find that her daughter wasn't there. As far as she knew, Melanie didn't have any plans that night?
It was a school night, and it was odd that she would be missing at that time of night.
Melanie's mother searched their home and made an ominous discovery.
She saw that Melanie's bike was missing.
Did she mention to her mother that she was going to take a bike ride after her mother left for dinner?
No, she was under the understanding that Melanie was in for the night, not going anywhere.
Was Melanie the kind of kid that if she was going to see a friend that she would have told her mother?
Yes, she was a great kid. This was totally out of character. And that's what really troubled her mother.
That fear grew when Melanie's mother reached out to the teenager's friends and discovered that none of them had seen nor heard from her either.
The night she went missing, her mom did call our house looking for her. It was kind of a panic of, where is she?
By 11 p.m., everyone knew it was time to contact the police. Officers raced to the Bernis home to take a report. Do you think this missing persons call was taken seriously?
I do. There are a lot of missing pieces. Certainly, it's very disturbing to have that feeling of, where's my kid?
Police took down a description of the young woman and her green SPC Hard Rock sports mountain bike. Did Melanie's mother know what she had been wearing that night?
She did know what Melanie would usually put on when she rode. And also, she would typically take a Walkman and listen to her favorite songs.
All through the night, investigators crisscrossed the city trying to find Melanie, but no one had seen the teenager. Just after sunrise the next morning, 23-year-old Charlotte Pottle stumbled upon some disturbing clues as she was riding her bike along the Phoenix Canal with her sister.
There's a big puddle, and the puddle looked to be discolored. I rode right through it.
As the strange colored liquid splashed on her bike, her heart stopped.
I squatted down and looked on the road. Very much appeared to be a puddle of blood. And as I looked closer, I could see drag marks.
Charlotte knew that something was seriously wrong.
My first thought was, somebody probably needs help if there's this much blood. But something was telling me I needed to get out of there and call authorities.
Phoenix police arrived minutes later and followed the blood-stained drag marks Charlotte had pointed out through some tall weeds back towards the water. What did police find when they arrived at the scene?
They found a female body floating in the canal.
Detective Russ Davis arrived just as divers were bringing the lifeless body to the shore. He was struck by the unusual bathing suit the victim was wearing.
The swimsuit was just not her size. It was too small.
It was really odd because it was designed for a preteen girl.
Experience told detectives that the turquoise one-piece zipper front bathing suit didn't belong to the 5'10" 138-pound young woman, but they put that puzzling clue on the back burner and focused on her cause of death. What injuries had the victim sustained?
The victim had a stab wound to her back.
The grim crime scene became even harder to handle after investigators looked at the victim's face. She matched the description of Melanie Burness, the teenager who had mysteriously disappeared. How were they able to identify the victim?
She had a relative who was actually in law enforcement. He identified Melanie. I kind of get choked up even thinking about it.
The Melanie Burness missing persons case was now a homicide investigation. And officers fanned out looking for a lead. Was Melanie's bike or Walkman ever found?
No, her bike was never found. There were some wires that were found at the scene that were cut, but her actual Walkman was missing.
Officers canvassing the area also found clothing in a nearby dumpster that was identified as Melanie's, her green t-shirt and shorts.
Melanie's clothing was torn and ripped.
And heavily stained with blood. Officers also recovered the teenager's sports bra just steps away from the dumpster. It appeared that her killer had disposed of the items as he fled the crime scene. The discovery of Melanie's clothing helped confirm what first responders had suspected. The bathing suit Melanie was found in was not hers.
He had redressed her, and that really took it to a whole new level. This was over the top. They were dealing with a very thick individual.
Was the murder weapon found?
No. The knife was taken from the scene and we never recovered it.
Friends and family showed police the route Melanie normally took while biking. Investigators estimated that she had begun her ride shortly after her mother left for dinner, most likely sometime between 7 and 7:30 p.m.
It was getting dark. Melanie had rode that path quite a few times. There was a Ferris wheel over there, and she'd ride up past that, and then she'd come back.
Melanie was roughly 11 miles from home when she was viciously attacked. Officers canvassed the entire route, hoping to find someone who saw something suspicious. Was there any lighting along the canal?
It was relatively dark, but people are walking, people are biking, and nobody sees anything. It befuddles me. I can't understand that.
Police had no witnesses to what appeared to have been a well-planned and prolonged attack. And that led investigators to a troubling conclusion. Melanie's gruesome murder was not the killer's first crime, and it likely wouldn't be his last. As investigators began the hunt for the killer of Melanie Burness, their experience had them braced for the worst. But for those closest to the teenager, the blow was heartbreaking beyond anything they could have imagined. How did you process that?
Hell, basically on earth. You find out that your friend just was murdered.
Everybody deals with grief in a different way. How did you get through those dark days?
My life changed instantly. You don't know, is it someone we knew? If it happened to Melanie in a safe place, it could happen anywhere. It's 30 years later, and I'm still dealing with the effects of it.
Rachel, who was just 16 at the time, was a classmate of Melanie's at Arcadia High School in East Phoenix. The two instantly hit it off.
She had so many different facets. She was definitely quick-witted, super loyal as a friend. She was a very smart student. I think she would have done something really amazing with her life.
Rachel told police that Melanie didn't have any enemies, and the investigation uncovered no one who knew that she'd be on her bike that night. Those details only deepened the mystery.
Why was she targeted was the big question.
Investigators could only hope that Melanie's autopsy might give them their first lead. What did the medical examiner determine was the cause of Melanie's death?
A large, sharp knife had been driven into Melanie's lower left back, and it had collapsed her lung, took out her aorta. It was a horrific but quick death.
How many stab wounds did she sustain?
There was just the fatal stab wound. It was very precise.
Did she have any defensive wounds?
Not really. I don't even think she had time to react to what the killer was doing.
But even after Melanie had been fatally wounded, the attack continued.
It was evident that the killer spent a lot of time with her.
Was there evidence that she had been sexually assaulted?
There was a sexual assault and the presence of foreign biological material.
The chilling information in the autopsy report helped sharpen investigators' theory of the crime. How do you think the killer was able to get her off her bike?
It was ambushed.
This looked like a blitz-style attack.
Melanie was heading along the canal, but there's a tunnel that goes under the freeway there. So did she have to slow down, and that enabled him to get a better opportunity?
Back at the crime scene, investigators found more clues that help confirm their darkest suspicions.
She was dragged over by a small tree where there was a lot of blood.
We have evidence of her being dragged another 100+ feet to a ridge.
That's where Melanie's killer did something that still had investigators puzzled.
For whatever bizarre reason, he had redressed her. It just was very disturbing. Then he drags her again and puts her into the canal.
Detectives were concerned that the disturbing evidence and the risk the killer took while committing the crime indicated that Melanie Bernas was not his first victim and might not be his last. Was there a fear among investigators that they were in a race against time because this killer might strike again?
Absolutely. The horrific nature, the level of violence. Investigators knew that they were dealing with a very proficient killer who enjoyed it.
As police studied the totality of the evidence surrounding the grisly murder of Melanie Bernas, they quickly became convinced they were dealing with an experienced killer. And that led them to consider if the crime might be connected to another gruesome attack along the same Phoenix Canal. Whose murder did they think might be connected to Melanie's?
Angela Brasso, she was killed 2 miles north of where Melanie was murdered. About 10 months earlier, the partial remains were found at the other side of this freeway. Police in the community were concerned that they had a serial killer on their hands.
As detectives read through the file on the Brasso murder, they found several troubling similarities between the two crimes, starting with when, where, and how Angela had disappeared. Where had she gone that night?
Angela had told her boyfriend, "I'm going out for a bike ride." That was around dusk.
Like Melanie, Angela had quickly been reported missing. But in Angela's case, it was law enforcement who found the trail of blood near the canal.
Police searching for Angela found her here, which is about 130 feet from the bike path.
It was clear Angela had been murdered during a savage and sexually motivated attack. What do you remember about the scene?
Angela was laying on her back. She was nude, and she was wearing her tennis shoes.
Her clothing was kind of strewn about in the area.
It had been cut off of her.
And perhaps the most compelling connection between the two crimes was the precise stab wound that ended Angela's life.
She had the fatal stab wound to the back.
It was a hauntingly similar injury to the one that killed Melanie. Did the killer use the same kind of weapon in both murders?
Investigators believe that he had used the same exact knife.
Still, there were details that did not line up. Angela had not been redressed after her murder, and her body was not found in the canal. And it was the final difference that was the most chilling. What injuries had she suffered?
She had been decapitated.
10 days after Angela's murder, police received a call that a head had been found in the canal. And this was directly across the freeway from where Melanie was later found murdered.
How did that gruesome discovery impact the investigation?
The shock and awe, knowing that the killer meant to send a message of fear, I think it just sent things into a tailspin, sickening.
After weighing all the evidence, police concluded that the two crimes had to have been committed by the same killer.
Both girls had been biking around dusk. Both girls were found with their shoes and socks still on.
Both bikes were missing, and the stab wounds in the back were the same.
The two homicide investigations were combined into one, and the search for a dangerous predator took a new direction.
The question was, who teaches precision kills, where you go up behind a person and you very quickly just stab them? The logical conclusion we made was, this is military training.
But dozens of calls to nearby military bases failed to reveal a suspect. And a nationwide search of crimes with similar MOs also went nowhere. It wasn't until 1994 when advances in DNA technology appeared to move the investigation forward.
Forensically, they were able to connect the two murders.
At that time, the DNA only confirmed what police already knew. In the years before CODIS, the evidence could only be compared to a known suspect, and they still didn't have one. In fact, the investigation seemed like it might stall, so Phoenix police turned to the FBI for help. The FBI got involved and created a profile of a killer. Could you summarize their profile?
They indicated that he may have been in his 20s, that he had some slight degree of organization.
But it was a final detail of the report that had police most concerned.
They indicated that the killer would not stop.
Investigators were on the hunt for the twisted killer, responsible for the murders of Melanie Bernas and Angela Brasso. You've seen a lot of sadistic crimes. How would you characterize the killer?
Absolutely savage. Probably the worst human you could ever imagine.
Police tried everything they could to generate a lead, even releasing photos of the bathing suit Melanie was found in.
Hopefully somebody would say, well, you know, I have my bathing suit like that stolen.
The tips flooded in, and while officers tried to follow up on all of them, the task was overwhelming. Detectives worked day and night to eliminate any potential suspect. But after 15 years of tireless work, the cases were no closer to being solved than they were when the murders first happened. Then, in 2008, Detective Troy Hillman took over the Phoenix Police Department's cold case unit and started the investigations over from scratch.
I printed out these massive reports and I read painstakingly through them. At the end, I was like, wow, we never caught this guy.
Hillman assembled a crack team on the case, but the task would be daunting.
We didn't have eyewitnesses. We didn't have any phone data. We didn't have any connection between the two girls. We just had two dead young ladies on the canal bank.
Even the FBI's chilling warning that the killer wouldn't stop appeared wrong. In the 18 years since Melanie's murder, there had been no further attacks. It seemed the killer had vanished. The team spoke with experts around the country who were convinced the suspect's name was somewhere in their massive case file. That meant poring over countless reports to revisit persons of interest who had never been scientifically ruled out. The first was a professor at Angela's College. What was it about him that ended up putting him in your crosshairs.
It seemed like he had a little affection for Angela, maybe made an advance at her and she turned it down.
And his background raised more red flags. What did you come to find out?
This guy was a major in the Special Forces in the Army. Your average Joe Smith on the street is not going to be able to do this kind of kill.
Investigators tracked down the former professor to collect a sample of his DNA.
A couple weeks later, the DNA supervisor called me and said, "Hey, Troy, it's not your guy."
Investigators looked into other names as well. You also looked into someone who had worked at a Circle K. Why was he a person of interest?
And there were several tips that had come in over the years where he was trying to sell a bike right after both murders. He had an extensive rap sheet for violence against women. He was a Vietnam veteran. He took a polygraph. He failed. So we needed to get his DNA.
Once again, investigators got a warrant and obtained a sample.
We gave the DNA to our lab. A couple weeks later, no, it's not him. Disappointment.
Months turned into years as suspect after suspect was ruled out.
I actually had a white dry erase board where I would just mark these guys off, and there was a heartache associated with each one. But this is the process of elimination.
You just got to pick yourself up and go to the next one.
It appeared the investigation had nowhere left to turn when the team was approached by Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick about a new type of DNA technology, forensic genealogy. She said all she needed to trace the suspect's family tree was his DNA profile. Although senior officials in the Phoenix Police Department were skeptical, the cold case team convinced them it was worth a try.
You're going to take this DNA sequence and give us a surname. It's like, I don't know how that works, but we'll give it a whirl.
We had nothing to lose at that point.
What name did you receive after submitting the DNA code?
I'll never forget this. I got this call from Dr. Fitzpatrick, and she said, "Troy, surname is Miller."
At first, it seemed like the very common last name was the final blow.
Miller is, I think, the 7th most common name in the United States.
But Detective Hillman was undaunted. He remained convinced that he didn't need to check every Miller in the country. He only had to review the ones mentioned in his massive case file.
There was 5 files of Miller. I shut the door in my office, and I started looking through them.
And after he read those decades-old reports, Detective Hillman was certain he had found his killer. Phoenix police, trying to solve the murders of Melanie Burness and Angela Brasso, had gotten a huge break when forensic genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick gave them the name at the top of their killer's family tree. It was Miller. And a search revealed 5 potential suspects who carried that surname in the case's massive file. Detective Troy Hillman carefully read each report.
I got the first one, nothing really there. Second, Miller, not too exciting. The third one, Brian Patrick Miller. Reeked of serial killer. Reeked.
There was some stuff in his file that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Starting with a lead that had placed Brian Miller's name in the case file decades earlier.
An anonymous tip came in the mid-90s. He had said, "I saw Brian Patrick Miller with this bodysuit."
The anonymous tipster claimed he had seen Miller with a turquoise one-piece bathing suit that matched the description of the one Melanie Burness had been found in. Somehow, the lead had never been followed up on. But now, 22 years later, as Detective Hillman studied Brian Miller's criminal history, he was certain that allowing the tip to fall through the cracks had been a major mistake. What was it that you saw in his file that made you believe that?
As a juvenile, he had ran up and stabbed a woman in the back.
And the stab wound was very similar to the location of where Angela and Melanie's were.
Brian said he got a tingly sensation up his spine when he stabbed her.
Did that victim survive?
She did.
Did he serve time for that crime?
Yeah, he went to the juvenile correctional facility. He was released from there when he turned 18.
But before he was released, Miller's own mother added something to his file that now seemed critical. A note she found in her son's room.
It was a handwritten document that went over what he wanted to do to a fantasy victim.
The details were chilling.
Some of the stuff listed in the plan is what had happened to Angela and Melanie.
Everything detectives had discovered about Brian Miller, coupled with the genealogy report that linked his family tree to both crimes, made the next step obvious.
It was an immediate all hands on deck. We need this guy's DNA.
And Miller wasn't hard to find. The now 42-year-old single father of one was living in Phoenix and had become well known in the area for his eccentric hobby.
We started looking at social media. He was into zombies. He was a loner. Just a little strange.
In fact, Miller had become infamous for driving around the city in a former police car with the words "zombie hunter" emblazoned on its back. Investigators immediately put Miller under surveillance, but their suspect was incredibly careful with anything he touched that had his DNA on it. It took weeks before police were able to surreptitiously get a sample. Then, after they finally obtained his profile, the entire cold case team gathered to wait for the results of the crime lab's testing.
The door bust open to the conference room, and it's Kelly and her whole team of scientists. And she said, "You got him."
The supervisor said it's a zombie hunter.
Share with me what that meant to you.
It was overwhelming, but at that point it was, we need to go put handcuffs on this guy and remove him from society.
In January of 2015, Brian Miller was arrested for the murders of Melanie Bernas and Angela Brawson. News of his arrest made headlines across the city of Phoenix.
Count 5 days in my life that were the most meaningful and impactful, and the day he was captured was definitely one.
The story also sent shockwaves across the country. Miller's picture was everywhere. And for Victoria Michelson, seeing his face brought back memories of the worst moments of her life. In 2000, she had been attacked on a wooded path leading to her school bus in Everett, Washington.
I was walking and I saw this tall, dark shadow come out of the side brush off of the trail. He came up behind me and put his arm around my shoulders.
Victoria, who was just 14 at the time, saw the large blade in the man's hand as she fell to the ground.
He stabbed me twice in the back.
Did you have the strength to scream?
No, I couldn't move, couldn't do anything. And then he strangled me until I passed out.
Amazingly, a passerby found Victoria clinging to life, and surgeons were able to save her. Did you actually see your attacker's face?
His face was like imprinted into my brain. I remember looking into his eyes and seeing the black pit of emptiness.
"15 years later, Victoria called Phoenix police to say that she now knew that those eyes belonged to Brian Miller. How certain was she that Miller was her attacker?
She was 100% absolutely that's him.
Although police had no physical evidence to connect Miller to the attack on Victoria, they had more than enough for a search warrant back in Arizona. And the materials they found while searching his home were damning.
We found hundreds of photos of women being bound, tortured, killed, disemboweled.
Just an immense amount of violent pornography. He had a lot of saws and knives, a lot of stuff that really showed us a complete picture of who he was.
I've been doing this job for 26 years. It's nothing that I ever saw before.
Detective William Shira drew the challenging assignment of trying to get Miller to confess.
What's going on?
What was your strategy when you interrogated Miller?
Just try to keep him talking.
The plan seemed to work. Miller admitted to riding his bike on the area's many scenic trails, but claimed he was too frightened to go on the path where the attacks had happened.
Why would you be scared of that?
Dark, vulnerable. I have fear of people.
Anytime I would get more specific about what had happened, he said he didn't know the girls, had never killed anybody.
When police confronted Miller with the DNA evidence, his calm veneer began to crack.
I think the hard part for me to believe is that my semen was with two people that are dead.
And places you with these women?
And I don't even recall them. I don't know their names.
You didn't have to know their names if you killed them.
Which I did not do. I think some lawyer needs to be present now.
That's fine. I am going to charge you with 2 murders, and you are going to go to jail.
After Detective Shira left the room, Miller continued talking to himself as the camera rolled. One question he asked himself seemed telling.
Where the heck would you get my DNA?
For 20 plus years, he's been skating the system and had never been caught. And now we had his DNA.
He was hiding in plain sight, taking pictures with police officers, a zombie hunter, mocking us and society. And time was up.
Miller pled not guilty to 2 counts of murder, kidnapping, and sexual assault by reason of insanity. He waived his right to a jury trial, opting to have his case heard by a judge.
Mr. Miller suffers from complex dissociative disorders.
The defense side was that because of all the trauma he had throughout his lifetime, that's why this happened, and he doesn't remember.
He said, I did it, but I blacked out. That's the closest that he admitted to doing it.
After an arduous 6 months of testimony, Miller was found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. What was his reaction to his death sentence?
Stoic. He had no real reaction. No remorse. He never accepted any type of responsibility. I take great pride that my team stopped him.
Those closest to the 2 families know that Miller's ultimate fate is unimportant. Even final justice won't give them back what they have lost. And as Melanie's good friend Rachel thought about ways to properly honor their memory, she discovered an inscription in her high school yearbook she had never read. It was written by her friend during much happier times.
Well, Chickie, we are going to be big juniors. Wow. We will totally have to do stuff over the summer. I say we take a little road trip up north. I hope we can stay friends throughout our lives. Love, Mel.
What do you want people to remember about Melanie?
I don't want her to be just a photo. I want people to know how amazing she was. And she was taken from a lot of people. I don't think friends and family can ever fully recover from this type of tragedy, but I just want people to know that this amazing person touched so many lives. She's still in our hearts, she's still in our memories, and I know we'd be friends still today if this didn't happen.
Police continue to investigate whether Brian Miller was responsible for other murders. We'll keep you posted on anything they find. I'm Paula Zahn. Please join us again next time when we're back on the case.